Things just got worse and worse and worse as the night went on. Again, valiant effort down the stretch for the Bucks. Just too little, too late. Let's go down and let's see what Coach Fletch and the rest of the crew has to say. And as always, go Bulls. So let's head into the locker room right now and see what the guys have to say about that one. Wow. Where do the Buccaneers go from here? What an incredible atmosphere. What a good win for the Tampa Bay Lightning. They snapped a 7-game winning streak. How we feeling, Bucs Nation? It's time to party, baby.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recher podcast. Happy December 5th, 2025, 12/5/25. Hope everybody is having a wonderful day, whether you're here in the Tampa Bay area or abroad. I'm a little disheveled today, but I think I'll be okay. I don't know why the microphone looks so weird. Why does it look like it's like huge today? I don't understand what's going on here. Oh, well, it is what it is. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is well. I had a tough time getting out of bed this morning. It was just one of those Fridays. I felt like a Monday, I guess. But I'm here with you guys. I am ready to roll. I know why, because the banner's not up. That's better. There we go. That's a little better now. It's great because, like, when I'm at the arena, I'm like, oh, man, it looks great. And then now it's like the microphone takes up so much of the screen. Oh, well, it is what it is, folks. Hope everybody is doing well out there today. If I bring it closer or farther away, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Who knows? Yeah, what a crazy night last night over at the arena. We'll get into that here momentarily, including what was going on after the game last night, too. I got my UT sweatshirt on today. We got the ring ceremony tomorrow night. We've got my Buccaneers hat on. We're ready for Sunday's game against the New Orleans Saints. I will not be there. I'll be coaching this weekend, so I will not be at the Buccaneers game, unfortunately. But, of course, I always want to hear from you guys. Questions, comments, concerns, leave them there at the bottom of the screen. If you want to join in on the conversation, there is the link right there in the chat, whether you're on your phone, whether you're on your laptop. Click on that link. You could join in on the show. What the hell happened last night with that disallowed goal from the Tampa Bay Lightning? I have an exclusive on that. I spoke to John Cooper after the press conference. If you didn't see the press conference, it was one of the best, I think, Lightning press conference in a long time. And then also, I talked to Nigel Kerwin last night as well. So talking to Nigel, the longtime video coach, he's been there pretty much longer than everybody. He's the man. So really cool to be able to chat with him last night. So we will get to that here in a couple of minutes. Of course, we'll give you an update on the Buccaneers and their practice schedule. Who was out there today? Was it Tristan? Was it Mike? Was it J-Mac? We'll discuss that. Our injury report with Dr. Rodriguez, that'll be at 12:30 today. And then at 1 o'clock, we'll take a look at everything on and off the gridiron out there as well. Let's go to our guy, Robert Cochran, over there from OKC. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Just feeling good about Orlando's hometown team getting home game for the bowl game. I get why we decided to do an early
Right.
bowl game, because gotta rip the Band-Aid off, and a heartline new era, as they say.
That's right. USF is going to be facing Old Dominion in the Cure Bowl in Orlando on December 17th. Let me see your sweatshirt. What does it say? Let it Caruso?
It's a bunch of play on the Thunder players' names.
We got to get this guy out of here. Have a good weekend, brother.
You too. Go Bulls.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah. So as you heard Robert say right there, USF playing Old Dominion in the Cure Bowl in Orlando on December 17th. It's a great cause. It really is, with all the initiatives that they do as far as cancer research. And then just talking to or just hearing from Rob Higgins last night about the importance of getting this game kind of, let's get over with it, because all of the different coordinators that have already left with Alex Golish, we got KP, Kevin Patrick's going to be the guy at the helm. And you want to start formulating this roster, and you want to start getting ready for the 2026 season as well. So I like the mindset. I like the idea. I mean, ideally it sucks because you're not playing in the college football playoff, and I get that. But as far as where we're at right now, this makes a lot of sense. Let's go to our guy, Eric Moreno. What's up, E? How are you?
What's going on, Jay? How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What do you got for us today?
You think I think
What's that, Pat?
I think Wirfs is going to play. Evans, you think hold him out till Thursday? I mean, hey, if Evans said he's good to go against the Saints, just saw some fade passes in the end zone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the big thing too. You got to remember, like when you're talking about these guys, is like if they're going to be healthy enough to play, they're going to play. We see it with Joe Burrow with the Bengals too. If like people are like, oh, hold them out, hold them out. It's not like that. If these guys are ready to play, they'll go out there and play. So if Tristan Wirfs, Mike Evans, and Jalen McMillan are ready to go and they get cleared, they'll be out there on Sunday against the Saints.
Yeah. 34-14 Bucks.
34-14. Damn, a big 20-point win, huh?
Or, hey, it's a lot. Got to win. Win the next 3 games, win the division, and rest some guys and go in the playoffs and win the Super Bowl.
No, I like that, pal. All right, have a good weekend, E. Appreciate you, buddy.
You too, man. Appreciate it, Jay.
All right, man. Eric Moreno, always checking out the show. We appreciate him as always. This is an Ask Me Anything Friday as well. If you guys have anything that you want to ask, feel free. Get in on the conversation. DT with the $10 super chat. The only way we're going to keep this thing rolling is the super chats and our partners, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, and, of course, Evara Health. Our Evara Health Injury Report coming up at 12:30 with Dr. Rodriguez. But a big thank you to DT. $10 with the super chat. How can you overturn a call when there was no call on the play? The call was so bad in so many ways. What's up to Eric? What's up to Bart? Janet Best in the house. Merry Friday, Jay and crew. Kick some Saints ass. Happy birthday to Greg DeCruz. Bucks going to score 30 on Sunday. Happy birthday, our good friend. Enjoy the Florida weather. Dolan, what's up, Jay and all? Bolts got screwed by Toronto. And Rolly, lots of conspiracy going on social media about that intentional hand pass. What a terrible call. Cooper was pissed. You got that right, buddy. All right. So what happened last night at the arena? So I'm going to give you my perspective on what happened last night. So third period, the Lightning are pressing. They're coming closer, and I see that ball. I see that puck going up the wall. Erik Karlsson clears it, and it hits Brandon Hagel. And in my mind, I go, oh, no. And this is because, I was, as much as I've watched hockey over the years, there's also, I refereed hockey when I was a kid, too. So when I was a teenager, I refereed a lot. And I remember sitting in the press box next to longtime NHL official Don Koharski, and I would call plays and he would look at me. He goes, "Did you ref before?" And I go, "Yeah." It's just he gets it. He gets it. Like you see the plays, you kind of anticipate things are going to happen. So when that puck hit Hagel, I'm like, "Oh no!" And I was just hoping that the Penguins touched the puck, and they didn't. The Lightning touched the puck next, and then puck goes around, play goes on. And then they scored the goal. And as soon as they scored the goal, I walked over to Ed Encina and I said, "Watch out for a hand pass here." And he goes, "Where?" And it looked like the Penguins were going to the faceoff dot. And I was like, "All right, we're good." And I said something to Bobby the Chief Taylor. I said, "Watch out for a hand pass here." And I even tweeted it out last night. If you guys saw my Twitter, I said that the goal scored, but I thought it was a hand pass. And I thought we were in good shape, because the Penguins didn't challenge it because, the last couple of minutes has got to come from the league. So they didn't challenge. They just went to the faceoff. I'm like, all right, cool. I guess it wasn't. And then you see the officials go over to the penalty box, and that's when my heart sunk. And I was like, this is not going to stand. And we started looking at the replay, and you just had a feeling something like that was going to go against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Anytime they have to go to Toronto, it doesn't work good for the Bolts. Wes McCauley, after what seemed like a review that took forever, goes out there, says it's a hand pass, and the goal gets taken off the board. Now, the Lightning kept pressing. They almost scored. I thought it was a BS non-icing call with about 20 seconds left too, but the Lightning kept pushing. And listen, it was a rough game last night where every mistake they made went into the back of their net. Brandon Hagel made a terrible decision, trying to overpass a little bit too much. Geno Malkin goes back the other day, scores the first of his 2 goals. He was fantastic last night. But the Lightning showed a lot of resolve. They go down 3-0. They come back to tie the game. I mean, Hagel got benched in the second period. He comes back like his hair is on freaking fire in the third period, and he scores a couple of goals. But you shouldn't have been in that position anyway, because you shouldn't have gone down 3-0. But with that being said, that call, I hope leads, and I guess by the letter of the law, it's the right call. But in the spirit of the rule, I mean, that's not a hand pass. He's defending himself. And John Cooper was hot. And you never know how Coop is going to handle situations like this. And I spoke to John after the press conference, and I spoke to video coach Nigel Kerwin after the press conference. And I'll tell you, because nobody else spoke to them after I did. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But if you missed the press conference last night, here is John Cooper. And I asked the question, and this is just 2 minutes and 20 seconds of pure gold from John Cooper. I hope that you've seen this already, but if you haven't, enjoy.
Again, so you have to, I mean, I guess there's a couple things. Okay, did he mean to do it, or was it deflected? Was there an advantage gained or not? And you could really debate whether an advantage was gained. Did Brandon Hagel direct that puck knowing exactly where it was going? No. Would you sit here today and say Brandon Hagel was maybe protecting his face from a puck hitting it, or protecting some part of his body? If I threw this microphone at you right now, would you put your hand up to stop it?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, you would. Right? So there's a spirit of the rule. Was that the spirit of the rule? I'm taking it in the face. If that, okay, let me do that. And I think that's where we get that wrong. And that's not what happened. And he didn't direct any pucks. That was a bang play. There were tons of guys around it. Turned out we got it first. A lot of the game developed after that, and the puck went in the net. So is that a really frustrating one for me? It is. I think you read the rule book, which we did, and you try and dissect what happened in the play, and then you take it all into consideration. It's laughable that got overturned. But in the end, it did. So can't cry over that. Bottom line is, we should never put it in that situation anyway. So that's our bad that we got to that situation. But I think in the spirit of the rule, come on, it's the goal all day.
Is it more frustrating because it wasn't called on the ice there?
Well, again, it's like, I don't know, things happen on the ice, the game is fast, the refs get most of it right. None of them thought it was a hand pass. It was 4 of them. So, it's the evils of video replay. Now there's eyes on everything, and camera angles, and now it's judgment calls, and in the judgment of everybody playing the game, that was not a hand pass. In the judgment of somebody judging in another city, that it was deemed to be video. Somebody that's not even in Florida is making that call. That can be a little bit frustrating.
I mean, there's really nobody like Coop, right? I mean, think about it. When I said it last night on Twitter, it's a top 5 moment in my career when John Cooper asked me what I would do if he threw a microphone at my face. I mean, and the fact that, like, you can hear it a little bit on the, like, if you look at the TV feed, but you obviously hear it right there on my video when I say hell yeah, and he goes, hell yeah, you would. Coop's the man. I mean, again, letter of the law, it's probably the right call, but as far as the spirit of the rule goes, like, come on, man. Like, it's one thing, and we've seen this a lot in soccer where it's changed, where handballs used to be like, there was no gray area whatsoever. It was like handball, boom, penalty kick. But now it's like, what are guys supposed to do when they have their hands like this and it hits their hands? Now it's kind of changed in the world of soccer. I really hope that it changes in hockey. I hope this is one of those things that kind of spurs change in hockey, because it's just, that's not what it's supposed to be. He's not getting any competitive advantage that way. He's not redirecting the puck. The puck can go off a skate and go into the net as long as it's not a discernible kicking motion. So why something like that isn't kind of officiated the same way is kind of weird to me. Now, I'm going to tell you what happened after that you're not going to get from anywhere else. So I go out and I wanted to hear from Nigel Kerwin. And we've had him on the program before, and we've had him on the radio. And Nigel's been with the Lightning since day one. He's the best video coach in the National Hockey League. He's the man. So I text him. I'm like, hey, do you have a couple minutes? I want to talk to you about what happened. He goes, yeah, give me a couple minutes. So I get outside the press conference room, and as soon as I walk out of the press conference room, who's walking by but John Cooper? And he, of course, made a comment about my shoes. He said he liked them, which is, of course, we don't get that one on video. My red and whites that I was wearing last night. But I said, Coop, that's a BS call. Yeah, and he was looking at me. He's like, it's spirit of the game, man. Spirit of the game. He's like, come on. Like on a play like that, you're not really getting a competitive advantage. It ricochets off the guy. That's a hand pass. So that was a little back and forth with Coop. I hate that kind of stuff. And then Nigel came out, and Nigel and I spoke for about 10 minutes about the entire process. So here's what's going through Nigel and Brian Garlock's mind and their head during this entire process. Because I asked them, I saw the hand pass right away, or the possible hand pass right away. What is going through your head at that time? What are you guys doing as the Lightning video crew? So Nigel and Gar, every single time there's an entry into the zone, every single time there's a puck that's near the glass that could hit the netting, anytime there's a possible high stick or something that's anywhere near the body, they're reviewing it right away. And that's what happened last night. Same thing. Puck hit Brandon Hagel, and right away they're looking into it. And they're keeping a close eye, and they're going, I don't think that's a hand pass, but we're ready to just continue to look at it as the play goes on. Then when the puck goes in, they're looking at it, and judging by the letter of the law, they were under the impression that it was going to stand because it wasn't called on the ice. And let's not forget, there's 2 referees and 2 linesmen on the ice, and none of the 4 guys had it as a hand pass. This was something that came down from the league in Toronto. And you heard it from John Cooper there. That's part of the reason why he was so frustrated. Is now we're going to a guy that's not even in the state of Florida, that's in another city, that's kind of breaking it down. And you guys know this from other sports. When you start looking at replays of things and it's not in game speed, and you see this in football. Is it a catch? Is it not a catch? I don't know if it doesn't always look the same. And I don't know if it's necessarily fair to be able to look at it that way. So they were under the impression that they were going to be okay for a multitude of reasons. 1, because it was not called on the ice. 2, because it didn't look like he intentionally directed it towards a teammate. And then 3, because the review was taking so long. Because remember, we have this conversation when it comes to other sports, when you need to overturn the call on the court, on the rink, on the field. It's got to be almost clear and precise evidence, right? And did you really think that? Like, even if there is a little bit of a gray area, was it like clear that there was a clear and obvious overturn of this call? I don't know if anybody, because you look at my social media and it's like half and half. Some people say it's a good call. Some people say it's not. And a lot of times when we see in baseball or in football, especially, it's like call on the field stands. It may not be confirmed, but it stands. So the longer that review goes, Nigel Kerwin and Brian Garlock are thinking, all right, we're in good shape. Tie game, 4-4. Let's see if we can get another one, go to overtime. And then Nigel said to me, as soon as Wes McCauley took the headset off and said something, he had a sinking feeling in his stomach, like this isn't going to stand. And that's exactly what happened. Wes McCauley gets on the headset. He lets everybody know, or he gets on the microphone, lets everybody in the arena knows. Hand pass, no goal, reset the clock to 107 and go from there. And as frustrating as it is, there's nothing you can do after that. I was like, what can you do not to get it? It's, I'm asking pretty much every question of like, could you like re-challenge? Can you ask for a replay? Right? And he's like, there's nothing you can do at that point. They made the call. And even though, again, you could say that it's the letter of the law, like that's not the spirit of the play. And Nigel brought up a good point to me. He said last night, he goes, Jay, in a league where they're trying to promote scoring, in a league where they're trying to err on the side of offense and make it more entertaining, you have a decision like that last night where if the call would have stood and it would have been a good goal, like, is anybody losing their mind there? More people are upset because it was disallowed rather than if the play just kept going, because nobody was stopping during the play. None of the Pittsburgh guys stopped playing. None of the coaches were going crazy. So really good insight yesterday. It was it sucked that that's the way that the Lightning went out. Again, love the resilience, love the way that they've battled back. Down 3-0 to be able to get that late tally in the second period and then to get 2 in the third. And unfortunately, you give up 1 to Malkin, but it looked like you got the equalizer there by a Cooch rocket, but it didn't fall in the Lightning's favor. Back in action tomorrow night, New York Islanders over there at Benchmark International Arena. I won't be there. I'll be coaching, and then I have the ring ceremony for UT tomorrow night. So best of luck to the Bolts. No sticks and stools tomorrow. But it's just, I'm glad that, well, I'm not glad, but it was just a very interesting night at the arena. And I'm glad I was there to be able to take part in that press conference, to let John Cooper, that I would definitely put my hand up if you threw a microphone at my face, but also to talk to John Cooper and Nigel Kerwin after the fact and get some insight on like what they were thinking, especially Nigel. Like, he's the best. He's been around forever. And the fact that they thought up until the announcement was made that they thought the goal was going to stand. It just shows you that they probably need to look at that rule and they probably need to change it. They did it with the kicking motion, the distinct kicking motion. It used to be no puck off a skate at all. Now, as long as you're not kicking the puck, then it's okay if it goes off your skate. I think this rule should be adapted in the same way. What do you think? All right. Great news for our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are in action on Sunday. And when you look at, and real quick, shout out to Darren Radish, NHLPA Player of the Week, led all defensemen in the league with 8 points, 7 assists, +5 rating. He is the man. And we all know what he's going to and going through, rather, with his dad with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. So we love you, man. You're the best. All right. So when you look at the game this Sunday and you're going up against the New Orleans Saints, and that's why this week, if you like, there's really not much to say about the game this week that we haven't already touched on. Now, we look at who is practicing today: Mike Evans, Tristan Wirfs, Jalen McMillan. Great sign. Excuse me. Great sign that they'll be out there on Sunday. If they're not, they're not. But it's a step in the right direction that those guys are out there. You're playing against this team in the New Orleans Saints that's 2-10. And I know it is going to be an issue, right? If they don't win this game. Like I don't even want to get to that point because of how bad the Saints are and how bad the Buccaneers need to win this game, knowing what has just happened in the last month. You're getting guys back, though. And, all right, here we go. Never mind. Head coach Todd Bowles. There we go. Breaking news. Head coach Todd Bowles says Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan have been ruled out for Sunday's game against the Saints. They will not be activated from IR this week. Also, left tackle Tristan Wirfs will be listed as questionable. There you go. I was waiting to hear from Todd. Todd. There you go. Let me make sure. That's why we're here on the show. That's why we're live. And shout out to our guy, Greg Ullman from Fox Sports, doing a yeoman's work, crushing it, as always. He's all over the place. He was at the game last night too, man. He was at the Dallas freaking Detroit game. This guy, he's a beast, dude. Such a beast. All over the place, man. When I saw that picture, I'm like, Greg, what the hell, man? You all over it. He is all over it. I gotta text him. I gotta ask, like, what the hell happened? You got back last night, went straight over to $1. All right, so there you go. Breaking news for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan ruled out for the game on Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. Questionable is Tristan Wirfs. So there you go. Not a surprise, really. Like it's good that they're practicing. It's good that they're getting closer and closer, but there's no reason to rush him back. And they have a 21-day window to be able to get activated. And the window's already open. So we just, listen, take your time. And you have a game. So here's the other thing, too. You're playing next Thursday night against the Falcons. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to have those guys come back and then have them on a short week trying to come back and play for that game against the Falcons, right? That's something that you have to be cognizant of. So, and you know how New Orleans is. And Jose's here. New Orleans has nothing to lose and sometimes play dirty. I wouldn't want my rehab players in this game. You're not wrong, buddy. You are not wrong. And listen, it's not just you saying that. We've heard that from Baker Mayfield too. And you're telling me that a guy like Cam Jordan wouldn't try to take liberties with the Buccaneers? I hear you. Look at this $20 super chat with our guy Chan. Let's get Hagel that A on his chest. Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty wild. He's such a freaking good player. And I tweeted this out last night. You know how many people have more goals in the National Hockey League than Brendan Hagel right now? Some guys might have scored last night, but at the time of my tweet, Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, and Connor Geeky's brother Morgan. That's it. More goals than Cooch, more goals than Connor McDavid, more goals than Draisaitl, more goals than Kaprizov. Like, that shit is nuts. Hagel's a beast, dude. Absolute beast. That's a badass mother. You know what? Shut your mouth. So there you go. Evans and McMillan out. We just hear this. Some breaking news from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We just hear the big announcement from head coach Todd Bowles. The guys are back out there practicing once again. They are limited in practice, but Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan ruled out for the game on Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. Tristan Wirfs is questionable. So listen, I'm not surprised. Not at all. Taking your time with these guys. If they're not ready, they're not ready. That's fine. That is fine. We will definitely be okay, I think, without them. But the Buccaneers have to play smart, and you cannot afford to let your guard down. Because if there's one thing that the New Orleans Saints are looking to do for the rest of this year, and it is probably trying to spoil what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have going down the stretch. This is going to be their Super Bowl. Whatever they can do to be a fly in the ointment of the Bucs and upset the apple cart and get them off of the top of the mountain in the NFC South. Todd Bowles also said safety Rashad Wisdom in his second week practicing as he returns from injury reserve, also out for the Saints on Sunday. So there you go. Don't expect much as far as the cavalry coming back this week, but that could change here on Thursday night. And I think it's a smart move. Take your time. Boom, 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 boom. Here we go. Eric Moreno, Wirfs is going to play. You agree, Jay? I don't know. It's an oblique injury, and you have to be careful. You have to be careful with this oblique injury. And we'll talk to Dr. Rodriguez. It'll be the first thing we ask him when he joins us here in a minute or so with these oblique injuries, especially if you haven't practiced for a couple days. You're back out there today in a limited capacity. And again, you want him for the rest of the year. There's no reason to rush him out there for a game against a team that's 2-10, knowing that you're going to play on Thursday. If he's healthy and he's safe and he's going to be ready to play, he'll play. If he's not, he won't. Benny, I'm not certain Mike Evans will come back at all this season. I think he is. And the reason being, they wouldn't activate that 21-day window if they didn't think there was a possibility for him to come back in the next 3 weeks. Because if not, they would just leave him on there. And I'm going to ask Doc about this too. There seems to be that, I don't know what it is about collarbone injuries, but it seems that people are recuperating and recovering a lot quicker than we used to. And then, you'll look at it and you're like, oh, okay. And you always want to hear that. Oh, wow, there's guys are coming back earlier from injuries, not rushing back, but guys are coming back earlier. That's good, man. We're hoping for these advances in modern medicine where guys are going to be healthier and they won't be on the shelf. Hopefully we get that with Tommy John surgeries and ACL injuries, so guys aren't out for the years. And look at Chan. Oh, wait, Doc is on today. I thought I missed the Evara report yesterday. Dope. Yes, Doc had He had a conflict yesterday, and of course, we can't miss him. We gotta have him on every single week on the program. We love it. Our pal, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, good. How are you? How was your holiday?
Oh, it was a lot of traveling, buddy. I was in Puerto Rico for only 17 hours. Stopped by there, didn't even get to really go anywhere, and then went to St. Thomas for a wedding, and then went back to New York for a couple of days to hang out with the family, and then came back here. What about you?
Hung out with the family. We have a tradition. They come up from Puerto Rico to visit.
Nice.
So they came up, and I had a house full of people. It was fun.
I'm sure you were happy then, but happier when they leave because it gets quieter again at the Rodriguez house.
Yeah.
All right, Doc, let's jump right into it. The Tristan Wirfs injury with the oblique. And this is, again, I was joking with one of my buddies the other night. Why didn't we hear from, like, growing up, I never heard of the oblique injury. And then in the last decade, last 10, 15 years, now it's so prevalent. You've mentioned to me before, people used to call it like a core injury or something like that. But this is not one of those things you want to mess around with, especially a player as high profile as Tristan Wirfs, right, Doc?
Right. I mean, and it seemed like when the game finished against Arizona that he was doing well. He walked off. He played the whole game. So I don't know if something happened towards the end of the game. He was kind of playing through it. And then he just aggravated as the body cooled down. It could have been that now he felt it because it wasn't something that was reported happened in practice. It had to have happened sometime during the Arizona game. We talked about this before with Springer during the World Series. Usual recovery somewhere between 3 to 6 weeks, a little longer if depending on the severity. We saw Springer come back in the World Series. He looked to be quite in a bit of pain as he was doing things. And Tristan is a big guy. He's in a big position to try to stop big folks coming at him. So I don't expect him to rush this at all, for him to get in anytime quicker than usually 3 to 4 weeks after the injury. 3 weeks is usually the earliest we see people coming back from these injuries. So I don't really think that he's going to be there Sunday. I don't know that he'll be there Thursday unless he's really doing really well. So I think he's going to miss at least 2 games.
Doc, when you just said when the body kind of cools down, what's the biggest thing that, and I just think it's interesting, what happens there? You know, when I'm thinking like biologically, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but what's going on with the body? How can you not feel that at the time? And we always just think, oh, it's just adrenaline. Is it just adrenaline? What is it? How is it that guys sustain these injuries? Maybe they don't really feel it, but then, as you said, when they cool down, then they kind of flare up. What's that whole process like?
So as you mentioned, part of it is the adrenaline, right? And the endorphins that is released when you're doing sports. I mean, marathoners talk about the running high, right? At some point during the run, they're still getting a little bit of a high, which is endorphins being released in the body. And those endorphins tend to mitigate and lower down the pain that you feel. So these athletes have the same thing. So they have the increase in tolerance in pain, but they also have the endorphins and the fact that the body's nice and warm, muscles loose. As you cool down, not only do those endorphins and adrenaline goes down, but the muscle now cools off. And as the muscle cools off, it tightens up. And something that may have been a little bit loose, now it tightened up. And especially if you have a sprain, now you're really going to feel it. And now it's going to be even more difficult for that muscle to be moving and stretching once it's kind of locked down in place as it cooled off.
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of people are just wondering sometimes, like the adrenaline, it's just something that people just throw out there, and it's a pretty powerful thing, isn't it, Doc? The adrenaline and the endorphins.
It is, especially on the time that an acute injury happened. If you are a warrior, basically, I mean, that's that warrior mentality, that adrenaline kicks in and those endorphins kick in, and basically they mitigate the pain. It's not that pain disappears. It lessens the degree of the pain, and you kind of play through that little bit of pain that you have. But once that is gone, the pain increases. And then at that point, it's a matter of, can you tolerate that increase in pain, or do you need to take a break?
Mike Evans, I think a lot of people were hopeful that he would come back to the regular season at some point. A little surprised that they opened the 21-day window for him to return with that broken collarbone. And I forgot, man, I saw it like earlier this week where there was another player that returned from a collarbone injury so fast. I know that there is a high risk of re-injuring the collarbone if you return too soon. But has there been anything that's changed as far as, recovery for a broken collarbone? Because I thought it took a lot longer than this. I mean, he's out there practicing. I know he's not playing this weekend, but what can you tell us about the recovery, and has has the treatment for a broken collarbone changed over time?
It hasn't really changed much. Most of the time, we don't need to do surgery.
Right.
And usually the recovery is 6 to 12 weeks. This happened back October 20th.
Oh, wow,
So it has been 6 weeks since the time of injury. And we usually look at a recovery of 6 to 12 weeks. So he is in the recovery window for a typical collarbone fracture. Surgery can sometimes mitigate a little bit of that time frame, but you also have to recover them from the surgery. And it's really not necessary to do surgery in a lot of clavicular fractures unless there's significant displacement, significant what we call comminution. So clavicles broken in multiple pieces, or significant injury potential injury to the skin, or the clavicle could potentially come out, or significant issues with motion of the arm. Most of the time, you don't face any of that. So you just let it heal conservatively. Bones do tend to heal stronger than they were before because you have a big callus of bone around the fracture site. So eventually over time, that area is a lot stronger than the rest of the bone.
Wow.
So being within that 6 to 12 week recovery window, allowing him to go back to practice, allowing him to see how he can do with raising his arm up, catching balls, eventually taking a hit. If he's progressing well through this 3-week window, I don't see why not he may be there at the end of the season. And especially if Bucs are making a playoff run, which we all expect them to do, I think he'll be there for the playoffs.
Kind of crazy too. I mean, when we've talked about the difference with Emeka Egbuka, remember we thought he was going to be out, and we talk about a young guy, and Mike is getting up there in years, and certainly not a spring chicken. And for him to be able to be on the front side of that recovery window, I just think speaks volumes of him. Jalen McMillan, scary injury. I mean, he was walking around with a neck brace for a long time. It's off. He was cleared to practice. I mean, this is another, it would be another great addition to this Buccaneers team. Great to see him running around again. He's not playing on Sunday, but another big step in the recovery process for J-Mac.
Yeah, so we talked about this, I think it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So the concern was that there was a fracture there, and we talk about the hyperflexion injury, usually what we call the teardrop fracture, but it's not the fracture that you worry about, but it's all the ligament damage that's there and the instability that it creates at the neck. So eventually those ligaments will heal up. It will get stronger. The stability comes back. I thought he would be out for the season because this can be quite a significant injury, especially in the type of game that he's playing. I think he's just been cleared to return to practice and just to see how he does. And you also got to see his level of confidence. How confident is he taking a hit around the head, neck area? Does he have any symptoms? Does he have any issues as he's coming back? I suspect that the Bucs are looking at maybe more of a playoff type situation for him, rather than having him come in at the season, maybe at the end of the season, just to test him out before we go into the playoffs. But I don't think they're going to risk him getting injured again right now and then losing for potentially the playoffs. So I think it's more of a trial right now to see how he's doing, and see how he progresses through the next 3 to 4 weeks before we see him play.
Doc, I wanted to ask you about that. And we've talked about the difference between the injuries and the more of an attention that needs to be put on football players, because that added, element of physical contact, right? It's different than if you're a sprinter, right? And you're only just worrying about running. But how does that change the diagnosis of return time, right? Do you add weeks knowing that the guy's a football player? Like if a baseball player and a football player is the same injury, is the recovery, like how do you judge? Do you add more weeks on knowing that there's physical contact, or is it just one of those things you just have to pay attention to as they return?
Right. So the recovery is similar, right? So they're both going to recover in the same timeline. Now, say it's a baseball player. There's not going to be any impact to their neck. So the next, once it's stable, you may say, well, let's see how you're batting. Let's see how you're running. Now, you got to be careful. If, say, you're an outfielder or an infielder, you got to go diving for a ball. Well, you got to be careful with that. With football, it's completely different because it's not only are you able to turn your head, are you able to hold your helmet down, you got to do this extra weight on your neck also. So your neck has to be stable to hold it. But what's going to happen when someone hits you and you get hit? And remember, it's not just getting hit in that area. If you get hit in your body, you're still going to be jolted and moving around. So there's an impact there also with your stability of your muscles, being able to hold your neck and head in place as your body's being shifted with extreme force. So you have to be mindful that there's got to be a high degree of strength now involved in that situation versus, say, the baseball player who's not going to be impacted or hit in the body at that speed and with that much force. So it's not just the stability at that point, it's the strength that needs to be built around the muscles of the neck, which have been deconditioned due to the fact that you've been in a neck brace and immobilized for such a long period of time.
Yeah, you're right about that. I think we've talked about this before, but I just want for the people that are just joining us maybe for the first time today, the Guardian caps that they're wearing. You and I have spoken about how, listen, at the end of the day, I mean, your brain is kind of just wobbling around in there and, a hit's going to hit. What is, for those that are just joining us for the first time, what is the addition? Because we see Luke Gedeke, the right tackle for the Bucs, he wears it. What does the Guardian cap do then, Doc?
I mean, it may mitigate the transmission of force through the helmet into the head and the skull. So there's some mitigation of force and impact, especially in head-on type collisions, which linemen is constantly banging heads with the lineman upright across the line of scrimmage. So there's some mitigation of impact. Is there a significant decrease in the incidence of concussions? I have not seen a good study that looks at, do the Guardian caps significantly decrease the incidence of concussion? Could there be a slight decrease? I would have to do a little more research on it, but there is a little bit of mitigation of the transmission of energy through the Guardian cap onto the helmet, certainly. But is there a significant decrease in head injuries, concussion injuries because of the Guardian cap? I just haven't seen that.
Yeah, because sometimes you get a concussion even if you don't get hit in the head, right? You get that whiplash and you get guys that get taken out. I mean, that's how I got hit. I got one of mine like that. Greg DeCruz, who lives in Costa Rica, he's here in Florida, actually. He said that he wants to take you back to Costa Rica. I told him to stay away from you. How can Cansey possibly come back from a torn bicep? Isn't grip strength compromised? It wasn't a torn bicep. It was a torn pec. It happened in week 2 against the Houston Texans. But, Doc, I mean, he's working out on the side, and people are talking about him possibly coming back this year. Torn pec was usually one of those injuries where it's like, check, you're done for the year. I mean, that's pretty wild to be able to hear that he's working out. What do you think about the possibility? I'm sorry we didn't put this in our notes, but do we think there's a chance? Do you think the guy can come back?
Yeah, so with a torn pec, I mean, what's compromised is your push strength, right? If you were going to do a push-off or a push-up, or you want to do a bench press, that's your pec, right? So you're going to have some limitation in strength there. Now, I don't know if they did a repair with this pec. A lot of times with these athletes, you actually do end up repairing it. So you reattach the pec back down to its insertion point or origin point, just because you got to rebuild the strength and rebuild the muscle. So it's very likely that he had surgery to reattach the pec. So now we see him working out because it's been fixed. Otherwise, he will have some decrease in strength. He will have some issues with playing the game as far as the strength goes. So they probably reattached it and rebuilt it. And now that they've done that, he's now working through the strengthening of the muscle again and working through it.
Chan wants to know, please, Jay, can you ask the doc if he has seen any new exciting procedures, meds in sports medicine that us lay people don't know about? What have you seen, Doc, as far as any new things out there as far as making surgery or making recoveries go quicker? Anything recent?
Well, from a medication standpoint, I think that one of the bigger revolutions have been what we call orthobiologics, platelet injections, stem cell injections, now peptide injections.
Yep.
So things that actually are now working better with the body, relieving inflammation, maybe reversing a little bit of the damage, making healing a little faster. So that's one of the biggest revolutions when it comes to medical treatment of sports injuries, the orthobiologics. When it comes to surgery, there's certainly been advances on how things are done, what hardware is used. We talked last time about high ankle sprains and how now we use a sling procedure as opposed to using plate and screws to hold the ankle better in place, because you actually got better stability, and not only that, but better recovery through therapy. So there are certain technological advances. Robotic surgery is also a big advantage, where you can now do even better procedures and micro procedures in areas where before it was really impossible to get to it without a big incision, big cuts. So from a surgery perspective, there's been certain advances. From a medical perspective, we have a lot better medications to use also.
Yeah, I think that one of the most popular videos that I've ever seen, and I don't know why it's been popping up a lot, is the guy that does the robotics thing and he's folding the piece of paper and like the origami with the robotics thing. I'm like, these guys are so freaking talented with that stuff, and it is unbelievable. I want to ask you about Jaden Daniels. I mean, this is a guy that, I mean, the Commanders had such a phenomenal year last year, and unfortunately they beat the Bucs in the playoffs, and wasn't sure if he was going to be able to return this season. But what do we know as far as his injury? Because it looked pretty bleak, but I know you kind of were warning us early on, like, hey, man, he could be back.
Yeah. So elbow dislocation, we talked about if there's no fractures, if there's no ligament damage, recovery is usually 4 to 8 weeks.
Right.
He's been out 4 weeks. So he is, again, right at the front end of that recovery window. He's been cleared to practice, which is basically trying to see how's his motion, how's his strength, how's his confidence level. So if it was just a pure elbow dislocation, no bone damage, no ligament damage, which I'm surprised with the way that elbow dislocated and the twist of the forearm. I mean, the video is one of those videos you're like, but the fact that he's been cleared tells me that ligament-wise, bone-wise, everything was okay. Wow. It was mostly a dislocation. Once you put it back in place, everything is functioning well. You just got to let the swelling go down. And then basically at that point, his strength, range of motion, confidence, and he'll be allowed to play. So whether he's available to play on Sunday, we'll see how he's done in practice this week. I don't know if he's been actively practicing through the course of the week, but it wouldn't surprise me if not next week, that he's there next week.
If you sustain an injury like that, Duck, is that any more likely to be able to do that same injury again?
No, like usually once it goes back,
okay.
Once you reduce it, I mean, again, the big thing is the ligaments. If there's ligament damage, you got to fix that because that's the support for the bones being there together. So now that said, say shoulder dislocations. So once you dislocate a shoulder, you are a little more prone to dislocating again because the capsule of the shoulder may stretch out, allowing the shoulder to slide out again. Now, you got to be careful also that there's no fractures in the area. There's certain fractures in the shoulder after you dislocate that will make you more prone to dislocate also. And those have to be addressed. Certainly someone that's dislocating multiple times. And the shoulder is unique. We talked about the fact shoulder's kind of on a golf ball sitting on a plate. So it's a flat plate. The elbow joint is a hinge joint. So being that it is sitting in a hinge, it's a lot harder to re-dislocate it. It takes a lot of force. The shoulder is the one that usually, and the kneecap are the ones that usually once you get them, they may happen again.
Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Chargers, dealing with an injury. Is this similar to the injury that Aaron Rodgers had? I mean, it's weird that we see guys get injuries on their non-throwing hands at quarterback.
Yeah.
And, and Aaron Rodgers is saying, I can't take any snaps on their center. It's got to be shotgun. And it's kind of weird how that stuff happens, right? It's like, well, happened to him. It's the same kind of thing with Rodgers that we see with Herbert?
With Rodgers, it was reported as a wrist injury.
Okay.
With Herbert, it's reported as a hand injury.
Okay.
So unless they're trying to hide the actual injury, I actually went back and looked at the video of the Herbert injury and the way he hit the helmet with his non-throwing hand. It looked more like a boxer's type contact,
right?
Where he kind of punches the helmet or the helmet just hits his hand. Then looking at him walking off to the sideline to get checked and the way he's holding his ring finger, the ring finger looked off, and there's a little bit of a deformity there on the backside of the hand. So I think what he broke is actually what we call the metacarpal, which would be this bone right here in your hand. So it's not your finger, but the bone right here in the center of your hand, which is typically what I would see in a boxer's fracture. The impact here causes the bone here to break. So he had surgery on Monday, had a plate and screws put in, which creates a lot more stability and easier recovery for the bone. So yes, it is going to be, I think, harder for him to take snaps under center because you do have to protect that fracture right now. So he's going to probably play with a brace or a lot of padding. It may be easier for him to play shotgun. So maybe you have one quarterback playing under center and he plays more shotgun. He will have a brace to protect the fracture site. But he's his non-throwing hand. So as long as he can grip the ball and be able to transfer the ball well to his throwing hand, he should be fine. The fracture, as far as recovery time, once he's got the plate in place, 3 to 4 weeks, it'll be solid. But again, now the fracture's stable, which is what the plate is doing. So as far as him throwing, it shouldn't be a problem. It's just non-throwing hand. Taking the snaps, I think, is going to be the issue.
Lamar Jackson. It seems like we've been talking about him all year long. I mean, the guy can't just stay healthy. Poor guy. I mean, they've been playing so much better as of late. What do we know about Lamar? I mean, we know how much his ability to use his legs and move around is just so it's paramount to him being one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
So injured his ankle. Now it's his ankle. This time against the Bengals. He was limited in practice on Wednesday. Didn't practice yesterday. They did say he's expected to play on Sunday. So what I'm thinking is just got a mild sprain to the ankle. They'll do a good tape job on it, good support on it, and maybe a brace, and he should be able to play. Now, how mobile is he going to be?
Right.
Getting out of the pocket? That's a different question. So is he going to be as mobile as he usually is? Probably not. I think we'll see him more stay in the pocket, but should he be able to play? Yeah, if it's a mild sprain, I think he'll be there. I think mobility is going to be an issue.
Jalen Carter from the Eagles there, heck of a player. He's getting both of his shoulders worked on, which is kind of wild to think that you're getting both of your shoulders. You think, oh, yeah, you just won, everything else on the other side. Like, first off, what do we know about the injury and the recovery process? And then also I want to ask you about the recovery process. What is that like, Doc? Because people always say like, oh, well, if you're right-handed, you brush with your other teeth and it's got to – what happens when both of your shoulders are jacked up, Doc? What do you do?
So
how do you function?
I think that, I mean, they're saying he had surgery on both shoulders. I don't think he had surgery on both shoulders.
Okay.
He's been dealing with bilateral shoulder injuries or issues with the shoulders since preseason.
Okay.
And through the season, he's been worse. So I'm thinking more what he has is what we would call impingement or bursitis or tendinitis or maybe a rotator cuff weakness or tendinitis. And I think what he had was injections done, whether it was stem cells or PRP. PRP is platelet injections.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm thinking is he had a procedure done, meaning he had injections done on the shoulders, or maybe he had arthroscopy done, which is go in there, take a look, clean things up, get out. But when you have arthroscopy done or any kind of surgery done, the recovery process is going to be weeks, 4, 6, 8 weeks, even if they did the minimum. So the fact that they're looking at him, he's not in IR, so they're looking at him week to week. To me, I think it's more he had injections done, maybe stem cell injections, which does require a little bit of procedure on your harvesting the stem cells from usually your hip areas to inject into your shoulders. So I think that's what he had done, and they're looking at his recovery time from the procedure. And if he recovers well from the procedure, he'll be able to play. But I don't really think he had surgery per se.
How has that changed as far as the perception of things like that with stem cell? Because remember the stories years ago, guys had to go to like Germany and get it done, and it was kind of taboo in this country. Is that something that's changed over the last 5-10 years, Doc? Where as more research has been done about obviously safety, that's paramount. Has that changed over the years, the perception, at least in this country?
Yeah, I mean, and I think the fact that a lot of these procedures have been done in Europe for decades.
Right.
And I think the fact that they've been working, they have good results, they have good research on them. Eventually, they make it to the U.S. for us to start working on it. So platelet-rich plasma has been around for at least 30 years, 40 years. I started doing platelet injections in 2010. So we've been doing it for a while. And there's really good, when it comes to platelet injections, there's really good evidence for things like tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, arthritis of the knee and hip, is what we would call level A evidence, really strong, solid scientific evidence. For other conditions, ruptured tendons or partially ruptured muscles, the evidence is what we call level C, good case series, but not really strong evidence. Stem cell is mostly what we call level C evidence also. You don't have really strong level A randomized trial comparison procedures in it. It's more what we would call case log or case series, where you've been doing it in several patients, and then you look at the results and you go, oh, they're doing a lot better than people that I haven't done this on before, but you don't have a head-to-head comparison. So the fact that you're getting these good results then makes it a little more popular to go ahead and do them. Certainly, they're very expensive to do, and for the procedure, and it involves a little bit of surgery because you have to go into the bone marrow to harvest the stem cells. I think those are the best ones to harvest is stem cells from the bone marrow. You can get also stem cells from body fat. I don't know that those are as good. The one issue I have with stem cell treatment is stem cells in the embryo get a lot of signals that tell them what they need to do. When you inject stem cells into in an adult in parts of the body, there's not that many signals that tell these cells, oh, become cartilage or become bone or heal the tendon. But I think what they do is they recruit cells because they are cells that are going to become anything. They're cells that are naive cells that go in there and help the body. So I think that stem cells create a cascade of healing, just like platelets do. And creating that cascade of healing then eventually leads to good outcomes. So I think that on the stem cell side, I think there's still a little more. I would like to see a lot more research and a lot more comparisons just to see how good they are. When it comes to platelets, the evidence is there that it does really work and the outcomes are really good.
Before I let you go, Doc, why is there? Is it just because? Is it a little more loose in Europe? And when you say like it's been done for Europe in a while, and then it comes here, is it because it's a lot more stringent when you come to the
regulations? Yeah. I mean, the FDA has a lot of regulations in place when it comes to interventions and trials on humans. So it does take a while for the FDA to come along and approve these experimental procedures. I mean, platelet and stem cell injections are still to this day considered experimental in the US.
Wow. Okay.
And that's why most insurance companies pretty much don't cover them because the FDA still considers them experimental, even though there's a lot of scientific evidence that they do work. They actually have very little side effects or consequences or complications from the injections. So yeah, regulations sometimes get in the way of these novel procedures kind of being established and done here in the U.S.
The great Dr. Carlos Rodriguez, our Evara Health Injury Report. Always a lot of fun here, Doc. Thank you so much, man. That was fantastic, buddy. And you know what? I played softball Tuesday night. I felt pretty good that night.
Good.
The next day, the next couple days, Doc, not as great, but that stuff that you gave me for the arthritis, it's worked out pretty good, man. So that's helped with the inflammation. I've actually cut out drinking like Sprite or any kind of sodas like that and tried to listen to a lot what you've been telling me. So thank you for all the help, my friend. And of course, the injury report is such a great part every single week. Everybody look at Chan loves it. Thank you, Dr. Rodriguez. You're the best, my friend. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
You too. Take care.
All right, buddy. The man, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. We had such a good time. And I can't tell you how many people that tune into the show mention him. And they say that is the best segment on your show. And I usually don't like saying things like that, but I will because it's my freaking show. And I love the doc. He's the man. And of course, we'll parlay right into the Evara Health read here. Evara Health, 17 different locations in Pinellas County. They don't want to be your last resort. They want to be your first resort. And I love that when you walk in there, it's so clean and everybody is nice and friendly. And this is really the new age of healthcare. They take all kinds of insurance. They have a sliding scale for the uninsured, the Evara Health Institute, where you can learn right there. I was there and I just saw all the different things that you're looking for a career. You want to work in that field. They can help you right there. And it's very similar to what I did in broadcasting school to be able to have that hands-on experience so that when you go into the professional field, you are ready to roll. And people ask me about the people that work there. I go, you watch the show, listen to Dr. Rodriguez, that type of guy. I've been there. I went into the facilities and everybody is so nice and friendly and helpful, just like Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. So if you're looking for something else, and I live in Hillsborough County, I'll drive to Pinellas County. That is worth it. 17 different locations. I went to the High Point one, but again, 17 different locations there in Pinellas County. This is the new wave of healthcare. They care about you, and you shouldn't have to be paying an arm and a leg for healthcare. We know, obviously, you got to pay something. It ain't going to be free. I mean, I know that's a big conversation as far as politically right now, but this is affordable healthcare for everybody that needs it. And it's everything from the cradle to the grave, they told me. And that's what you look at. Just go to the website. I tell you guys every day, everahealth.org, all the different information on there, the phone number, the website. And again, just tell them that you heard it right here on the Jay Recher podcast. Doc, you're the man. I love you, buddy. Have a great weekend. The best, Dr. Carlos Rodriguez. He's the man. Look at that. Another milestone in sports broadcast. Yeah, our guy Rolly with the $10 super chat. You're right. Talking about stem cells, talking about platelets. I mean, this is what we need. The advances in modern medicine. We love it. And then also our friends, obviously, Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, 813-244-0956. Go to thehonesthammer.com, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. My guy, Russ, I got the business card right here, baby. My guy, Russ, 813-244-0956. Owner, licensed general contractor, CGC 153-1166. Honest Hammer Custom Builders, LLC, thehonesthammer@gmail.com. See, I got all the information right. I love my guy, Russ. He is the man. He's jacked up as a USF grad. Super excited about Brian Hartline. New pictures up on the website. They're taking estimates now for the 2026 year. Kitchen renovations, bathroom renovations. If you're looking to do one room in your house, if you're looking to do your entire house, if you have a plot of land and you're looking for a brand new build, these are the guys. You trust them. These are the things. It's not just your house, it's your home. Honest Hammer Custom Builders. You can't have a name like Honest Hammer if you're not honest and if you're not a good dude. Russ is the man, dude. You'll hear him calling into WDAE. You hear him here on the program. He's just these are the kind of people that you want to trust and confide in. Listen, I said this from the beginning when I was working at the radio station. If I am ever going to work with somebody, I have to be proud to put my name on it. And I am. When I'm working with Evara Health, I'm working with Honest Hammer. I love them, and I guarantee you will love their work too. All right, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Recher. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on this weekend. Look at Beyond the Barricade here. I just want Stammer on the power play again. Will we ever move York? I think you're trying to say Bjorkstrand. I don't think he's done enough to be brought back. You want my honest opinion about this? Because you're about to get it. Does anybody want Steven Stamkos back in the Tampa area more than me? Probably not. He's a good guy. I honestly think if you put Steven Stamkos on this team can win the Stanley Cup this year. Seriously. And the way that you utilize the guy is by playing him on the third line. You play him on a line with Nick Paul, and you play him on a line with Dominic James. And then you go whoop everybody's ass. Because if you bring Stammer back, you would probably think that Bjorkstrand's gone. So if you think about it, Cirelli, Hagel, Cooch, Point, Gensel, and Gonsalves, or somebody else on that line. Paul, Dominic James, Steven Stamkos, and then the fourth line of Gergensen, Gordon, and Pontus Holmberg. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Not at all, my friend. Even if you put Dominic James on that second line and bring like a Jack Finley or have a Curtis Douglas out there, I don't think that's a bad thing either, buddy. I really don't. But I think you got to make some type of adjustment. Of course, Nashville's going to have to eat some of that money, but that power play with Stammer out there, you need that Stammer hammer back. And it just, think about that. Steven Stamkos comes back to the Lightning. How big that would be. That ticket to be at Benchmark International Arena, to see him take the ice. Dude, I want that for Bolts Nation. And again, not just for nostalgia. I just really think he's going to help. I really think he could help them. Because you saw it last night. And listen, the power play is getting better. It really is. The power play is getting better. They're shooting the puck more. You saw it last night. They're not overpassing as much. I think Darren Radish being on the power play has been a huge addition because of the mindset. Shoot, 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 shoot. But if you're telling me that you end up having a power play where it is Stammer, Ratty, Cooch, Point, and Gensel, look out, buddy. Look out. And I'm telling you, man, you want to inject life and energy into that room, you bring Stammer back. You bring him back. You just got McDonough back. And listen, you're getting McDonough back, who is making 6.5 this year. He's going to make 4.1 next year. So there's 2.4. You're going to have to sign J.J. Moser. We get that. But the salary cap is going up. And if you can get Nashville to retain some of that salary, and then you send somebody back, or you send a Bjorkstrand back, or you send some, you know what I mean? Like, telling you, buddy, telling you, there is a possibility that this can happen. I really hope that Julian does, because if that happens, especially with how wide open it is in the NHL, I just feel like they found a new way to play. You're not bringing him back to playing a top 6 role, but you need him on the power play, man. And I'm telling you, if he plays on a line with Paul and, like, let's say Paul and Dominic James, dude, man, those guys fly. They're all over the place. Damn, I hope it happens. All right. What to watch this weekend on and off the gridiron? Let's start in the NFL. Of course, we have some juicy matchups there. Saints and Bucks, not really talking about that one. Not really. I mean, when we've been looking through the schedule this year, there's been a lot more bad games than good ones, right? But there are a couple of decent ones here. We see a big matchup in the AFC South with the Colts and the Jaguars. Both there at 8-4, Everbank Stadium there in Jacksonville. Looks like it's going to be good weather. Who you putting your money on in that one? Danny Dimes, Jonathan Taylor and the crew, or Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, and those guys? Liam Cohen leading the way. Right now, Indiana is a 1.5 favorite on the road. So, that's an interesting thing. Steelers and Ravens, both 6-6 from Baltimore, 42. It's going to be chilly there. Baltimore, 5.5-point favorite. How does Aaron Rodgers look after calling out pretty much everybody on his team for not doing the right thing? And yeah, I take some of the ownership as well, but not nearly good enough. And if let's say Lamar does play, even if he's compromised, I think this is Baltimore's game to lose. Run the football, put the onus on Pittsburgh to stop your game, and go from there. Texans Chiefs Sunday night football. This is kind of one of the last stands. Texans have such a good defense. They're going to Arrowhead. It is going to be freaking cold. 27 degrees out there. The Chiefs kind of have to win out if they want to give themselves a chance to make the playoffs. They ain't winning the division. That is all but locked up for the Broncos. They're 10-2. Chiefs 6-6, but they are 5-1 at home. So Patrick Mahomes, now's the time. Turn it on. And then the last game I'm really looking at this weekend, Bears and Packers. Chicago, first place in the NFC North, 9-3. They go to Lambeau, 425, 8-3-1 are the Packers. It is going to be a toasty 18 degrees there in Green Bay. And when I'm looking at the lines for this weekend, a little surprising. The Packers are still 6.5-point favorites. And I don't know what to make of the Chicago Bears. They just keep winning. And people will look at the stats for a guy like Caleb Williams and, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. You know what? When you're a quarterback in year 2 and you're leading your team to a 9-3 record, sometimes all you got to do is stay the hell out of the way. We saw with Ben Roethlisberger early in his career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sometimes the best thing to do is just hand the football off, complete the short throws, don't turn the football over, and don't be part of the problem, even if you aren't the main solution. Play good defense, run the football, win the turnover battle. Sometimes that's all it takes for a young quarterback. There is a skill and a talent in that, because I really do believe that young quarterbacks at times feel like they have to do too much, and then they have a problem. So I actually laud Caleb Williams for that. You can't just look at the numbers. You got to watch these games. Everybody out there, listen to Jeff Taylor. Everybody out there, kill that like button for me right now. Bam, bam, bam. Kill that like button. Every like counts here on the program. And then here we go. NCAA college football. Who is ready for some of the big matchups this weekend? It starts tonight. The Sun Belt Championship, 8-4 Troy against the 25th team in the country, James Madison. James Madison with their new coach, Billy Napier. How about that? 23.5-point favorites. They should win that one. They should roll. This hurts watching this game here because it could have been the Bulls, but it isn't. Number 20 Tulane hosting number 24 North Texas. Bulls didn't play the Green Wave this year, but they gave North Texas their only loss there in Denton when they put up 63 points on North Texas. That is the American Championship tonight at 8 o'clock. It's pretty wild because that could have been USF at Ray J tonight, but that isn't an alternate universe. That's the different multiverse. Big 12 Championship, it's a rematch between BYU and Texas Tech. A lot of people think if Texas Tech, even if they lose this game, they'll still be in the college football playoff. I think the chances for BYU, it'll be all but done for them. 12.5-point favorites are the Red Raiders. This will be at Jerry World, AT&T Stadium in Arlington. BYU, get in there and upset everybody, man. And then these last two matchups, and I'm not talking about Duke and Virginia. We're not talking about that ACC championship game. It's still weird that Miami's not in it. All right. These are the two games right here. The SEC championship and the Big Ten championship. Georgia and Alabama from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. There in Georgia. Ty Simpson and the Crimson Tide are 10-2. What a crazy year for Alabama. I was not sold. Remember, I was one of those people that I was like, all right, Kalen DeBoer, I think he's on borrowed time. There's people that even think that even if he lost the Iron Bowl last week to Auburn, he would have been out, and it would have been Lane Kiffin or it would have been somebody else there coaching Alabama. But no, they win that game, and now they're in the SEC championship game. And who do they play? Georgia. Georgia, the number 3 team in the country, their only loss coming at the hands of Alabama. So technically, Alabama's number 1 in the conference, even though they're 10-2 and they're a lower rated team. But you look at the schedule so far for for Alabama. They lose to Florida State to open up the season. We thought Florida State was the real deal with Mike Norvell. Their only other loss, a close 23-21 defeat at the hands of Oklahoma. But you look at their wins over number 5 Georgia at the time, number 16 Vanderbilt, number 14 Missouri, number 11 Tennessee. And then, of course, they beat LSU, but we know that was after Brian Kelly left. But that 4-game stretch, beating Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Tennessee, really opened up a lot of people's eyes and said, all right, Kalen DeBoer, maybe he's got something cooking there in Tuscaloosa. And we know what the deal is with Georgia. Kirby Smart, in this situation, their only losses I just alluded to number 17 Alabama at the time, 24-21. I look at the win last week to Georgia Tech, and obviously it's not something to really write home about. But the wins over Ole Miss, the wins over Tennessee, and then the win over Texas. One of the most impressive victories of the entire season was Georgia over Texas, because Texas was number 10 in the country. They were really feeling themselves. They were playing really well. And then Georgia just beat the brakes off of them. That game was not close. 35-10, and I don't even think the score was indicative of the gap between those two teams on that day. This is going to be an absolute dogfight. I mean, these have been the 2 best teams in the SEC for the last decade or so, and I'll be tuned in 4:00, no doubt about it. And then 8:00, Indiana, Ohio State. Both of these teams 12-0, number 1 in the country versus number 2 in the country. San against Mendoza, Ryan Day against Kurt Signetti. There at Lucas Oil Stadium. It's indoors. No worry about the weather. A 4-point favorite are the Buckeyes as they try to go belly to belly and back to back. And I know there's a lot of people in the Tampa Bay area going to be pulling for Ohio State because of Brian Hartline. However, this is the Jay Recher podcast. 1/2 of the Beckles and Recher podcast. And you bet your sweet ass that my allegiance is to my guy Ian Beckles and the Indiana Hoosiers over the Ohio State Buckeyes. I love you, Brian Hartline, but you're not a USF Bull yet. My guy, Ian Beckles, Fernando Mendoza, the entire crew with the Hoosiers. I hope Indiana wins. But like Ian said earlier on Monday, and I can't wait to have him on the show this upcoming Monday, he goes, I kind of don't want to win because then like you're probably playing him again and you want to be able to get your get back. And it's, unbelievable. These 2 games, 4:00 and 8:00. I cannot wait. Going to be insane. Want to mention this. A huge win for USF last night. USF men's basketball. Coach Brian Hodgson over Utah State. They were 7-0. They go into the Yuengling Center and they got punked. They got punked by Coach Brian Hodgson last night. And he said it in his press conference. He was like, no disrespect, but we punked them last night. I'm like, yeah, you did. No chance. They had no chance in that game. And I love that. Just run, rabbit, run. These guys, they get up and down the court. If you haven't been to a USF men's basketball game, you got to go. It is just crazy. And Frank the Tank was there from Barstool. I know a lot of people were excited. Huge win for Coach Brian Hodgson. Now you get into conference play here, start stacking some wins, and you never know, man. Could see these guys in March Madness. Breaking news a little while ago. John Cooper tells us Victor Hedman probable for the game tomorrow. We'll see how he is. Braden Point is questionable for that game. He was on the ice as well. And then we spoke before about the the Buccaneers. Really crazy. Hold on. This is some injury news. Bulls ruled out Joey Bosa and Terrell Bernard. Marvin Harrison out Sunday against the Rams. Kyler Murray won't play again this season. Lamar Jackson returned to practice. Jaden Daniels will start Sunday against Minnesota. T. Higgins cleared concussion protocol. And Brian Branch tore his Achilles last night against the Cowboys. Oh, that sucks. Unbelievable. That is 2 years in a row, man. 2 years in a row that the Detroit Lions have just dealt with a cavalcade of injuries. Rough. All right. So what else is going on this weekend? What else is there to watch? A huge UFC card. Merab Dvalishvili against Petr Yan, UFC 323, and it is not the only flyweight. It's not the only title fight. The flyweight titles on the run. Alexander Pantoja against Joshua Van. Joshua Van, kind of a cult hero here with that big knockout the last time he was out there. You got to check that fight out. These are two. Listen, it's flyweight and bantamweight. These two guys, they are going to scrap. It is going to be a firefight. And listen, you got Brandon Moreno on this card too. You got Henry Cejudo on this card too. You got Jan Blachowicz on this card. There's a lot of big names. Terrence McKinney, Macy Barber's fighting as well. Marvin Vittori, Edson Barbosa against Jalen Turner. This is a good one, guys, and I always fill you in. If it's a good fight, if it's a no-name card, that'll be better as the fight goes. If it's a no-name card, but those ones are usually good, I'll tell you, this is one of those big names. Last big card of the year for UFC 323, Merab Dvalishvili against Petr Yan. You want to watch this one, and Merab's the best. I love that freaking guy. All right, on the soccer side, as we wrap this thing up. Hold on. USF women just won today against Houston Christian, 91-58. Boom, baby. Love that. I knew that was going on today. So I just wanted to show some love to Coach Michelle Woods-Baxter and the Bulls, 91-58. Good stuff right there. All right, on the soccer side, let's get to the big games for this weekend. Boom. Today, nothing great today. Tomorrow, there is Aston Villa at home against Arsenal. There's not many contenders in the Premier League to Arsenal and the Gunners. They're on point right now, but they travel to Villa Park to take on Unai Emery, Emi Martinez, and Aston Villa. Arsenal just a -110 favorite. You don't see that very often. Is anybody going to knock them off their perch? Aston Villa's got as good a chance as everybody, but there's just been so many inconsistent teams in the Premier League this year. We just don't know. Bournemouth, Chelsea, Everton, Nottingham Forest. Manchester City hosts Sunderland. Sunderland coming off of a 1-1 draw against Liverpool. Man, -390 for Man City. That's a very interesting line there. And then Tottenham hosts Brentford, and Leeds hosts Liverpool. Liverpool, we don't know what the hell we're getting from them. What else? Bundesliga, Stuttgart against Bayern Munich, Augsburg against Leverkusen. Not many huge big-time matchups there. Inter against Como. Man, again, we're saying the same thing about the NFL as we are about soccer this weekend. Brighton and Hove hosting West Ham. Fulham against Crystal Palace. There's a London derby right there. Real Madrid against Celta Vigo. Borussia Dortmund against Hoffenheim. All right, here's probably the biggest game of the weekend in soccer. I would have to go with Napoli against Juventus, 2:45. You can see it on Paramount Plus. That's probably one of the bigger games of the weekend. So check that out there. Manchester United, after their putrid 1-1 draw yesterday, they play on Monday against Wolverhampton. They're still pissing me off. I'm still very upset. And last night, I saw JJ Moser, another big Manchester United fan, after the game, and he just looked at me and he put his hands up, and I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't know what you want me to do. But shout out to JJ Moser because he was mixing up with Sidney Crosby last night, not backing down. That is our guy. We love you, JJ. All right, that's going to wrap it up for me, guys. I got to go get fresh to death. We the best, nothing less. Got to get a haircut here. I love you all. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're in a warm weather climate, whether you're freezing, whether it's raining or snowing as you're driving to work, or you're just enjoying a beautiful day like I am here in Tampa. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the love and the support. We need to keep it rolling. David Terry with the $10 super chat, Chan with 20, and then 5, and then Rolly with 10. Thank you guys so much, man. I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate it. Honest Hammer, Evara Health, our 2 partners here on the show. We love you guys so much. Thank you so much for the love and the support. A fantastic chat with Dr. Rodriguez, like we do every week, but he is on top of it. The stuff with the platelet-rich plasma and the what was the other thing? Stem cells. He's just a man. He knows it all. We love this guy, and I love you out there. Follow me on all social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I'm everywhere. Like and subscribe on YouTube as well, guys. We got to get 2,000. I need about 85 more, man. Share this on your social media platforms, and we can do it. Hammer, you can, buddy. You always compete. You're with us since day one. I love you, my friend. All right, guys. You're the best. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend. Go Bucks. Go Bolts, go Bulls, go everybody. We love you. We'll see you on Monday. Have a safe, a happy, a healthy weekend. We'll see you on Monday at noon right here on the Jay Recher Podcast.